What's up, everyone? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and one really important way that you can support our show is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. One of those places where you can subscribe, and we highly encourage it, is on Apple Podcasts. If you visit qpnt.net/Apple Podcasts. You could subscribe to the show and listen to all of the episodes. And please, please, please leave us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points, and leave us a review. We really want to hear from you, and it helps to spread the word about the show. It's that simple. Thanks so much for tuning into Q Points, and thank you so much for supporting us. Have a great one.
And welcome back. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And I am Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. Hey, y'all.
And listen, welcome to Q Points, a retrospective of 2021. Jay Ray, can you believe it? We started this back in what, June?
May.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yes, that's right, because it was right before your birthday. We started this back in May, and here we are at the end of the year. We are celebrating the fact that we have given the folks
32. This is our 32nd show.
This is our 32nd show. How much we've grown in the past few months is really wild, right?
It is.
And I'm just really proud. I gotta say, first off, I'm just really proud of the work that we've done. Like, I think I mentioned this the last episode with the Gibson Gazette crew. Mm-hmm. This was literally an idea, a conversation that we had, and we started writing things down, and it became this. So I have to thank you, and then I cannot say enough. I thank all of you guys out there watching each and every week. We appreciate you. We appreciate every retweet, every reposting, everything you've done, all of you that have answered questions of the week and sent us your opinions. It's just really made this a dope experience. And I just can't wait to see what happens in the upcoming year and beyond that.
Yes.
So tonight we're just going to kick back and go through what you told us by your viewership. You told us these are the top 5.
Yep.
Right. 5 episodes of 2021 of Q Points. And so we're just going to roll a clip, and then Jay Ray, you and I are going to talk about it on the other side.
Yep.
All right?
So we are going to go in with clip number 5 for our 5th most popular show of the year, and we'll be right back.
I would fast forward a little bit. So, I'm going to take it all the way left. I would go to the New Music Seminar 1985, and I would go to the MC battle because I want to have witnessed Roxanne Shante versus Busy Bee and Roxanne Shante versus Fruit Quan, formerly of Stetsasonic and the Gravediggers. Because there are recordings, and I'll drop the links in the chat. There are recordings of these battles, and when I tell you, just hearing the crowd in the background, the oohs and oh shoot, I wanted to see it. It was like, gosh, why wasn't there video footage? Like, there's video footage floating around from the New Music Seminar of other like DJ battles and some MC battles, but for the life of me, I cannot find any of that particular battle because I know it had to be awesome. I know because Shante is all of 5'4",
right?
And she's going up against these dudes, and the crowd is clearly on her side. So if I could hop in the time machine, it would be to 85 and a new music seminar in New York City, 1985. I would definitely hop off there and check out that performance. But you mentioned Mavis Staples. That now, so another moment that stood out to me in the concert was it was an intergenerational moment where Mavis Staples was commandeered by Mahalia Jackson. To take the lead on the song. What was it? Hold My Hand, Precious Lord.
Yep.
Yes. So she because she was like, she's not feeling her best. She was like, I'm gonna need you to help me out on this. And Mavis Staples was like, Mahalia Jackson is my idol, and I'm not 100% sure how old Mahalia Jackson was at that time, but there was an age difference.
Yes.
But there was a respect, especially on Mavis's part. And when Mavis came through and she sang and was holding that microphone for Mahalia Jackson, you could see the mutual appreciation and stuff like that. Is very rare to happen these days. You know, we don't see a lot of reaching out between the different generations of performers as much as we used to back then, you know?
And the other thing, I think to that point, one of the other observations that I have is, baby, everybody walked up on that stage ready. Like they was ready. Even Sly and them, because Sly and them ain't do no sound check, child. They was like, listen, they sound checking while they go to. They was like, one, is Sly here? Two, we don't know what we gonna get. Like, cause these people hadn't really seen, like they weren't really sure what they was about to get. They got up there, baby, and turned that sound check into a jam session. And the homie said, when it was time to go, it's time to go, and they launched into and so everybody showed up ready to give that crowd what that crowd needed. When they walked out on, first of all, them black folks came to get it. They came to get it. Like the black folks is like, every black person in Harlem came. Every black person in New York City was like, we gonna make it to Harlem to go. And
from Brooklyn, everywhere. They was
everywhere.
There.
So my observation also was how ready folks were to perform for their people. That was hot.
Definitely. And to your point, how ready the audience was to accept every single one. The gospel acts, the, Sly and the Family Stone, because they were coming from a rock funk background, and this is Harlem, and they're coming from the West Coast.
Yep.
So, but that didn't matter. Beautiful. Partying. I mean, it was just a beautiful sight.
Yeah. Just
a beautiful sight. But so we started talking about this. Well, we talked off air about this, about why this is really important, this documentary. Mm-hmm. One of the things that stood out was that this particular documentary was filmed at around the same time, and this event took place around the same time as Woodstock.
Yep.
So the producers tried to shop it, option it off to have it distributed to a wider audience. Nobody picked it up. This footage stayed in a basement for 50 years untouched. And it just spoke to me to the fact that it is so important that we keep documenting our movements and we have control over that. I think that's what the thing that this generation has figured out. Oh, they're going to document their every move. And it's so important because if it's not important to us, it's not going to be important to anybody else. Look at DJ Sir Daniel speaking facts. up there preaching like it's a Sunday morning.
Listen, man. Yeah.
Look, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Like, I was like legit just kicked back listening to like, what else they gonna say? Now what he gonna say?
Yeah, that felt really good to go back and watch and reminisce on this moment. So funny. So there is an update to the Mavis Staples conversation because I was listening to Questlove, and I believe he was on Fresh Air. And that important moment with Mavis and Mahalia Jackson was
Mahalia
actually
Jackson.
supposed to be Mavis and Aretha Franklin. I'm sorry, Aretha Franklin and Mahalia Jackson. But for
Wow.
whatever reason, Aretha Franklin wasn't there and couldn't be there. So just even thinking about that, like, first of all, that would have been crazy, right? To have Mahalia Jackson and Aretha Franklin on stage at the same time. But that moment turned into a legend making moment for Mavis Staples, which was, of course, important for how her career continued to move and is moving. So, yeah, just kind of reflecting on us having that conversation still really touches me and actually makes me want to go back and watch that movie again.
I was just about to say, I think that documentary was probably one of the highlights of the summer,
Hmm.
was getting to see that footage, to witness Marilyn McCool and, gosh, I keep forgetting
Billy
his name,
Davis Jr.
Billy Davis Jr. Just the expressions of joy looking at their younger selves,
Hmm.
just experiencing that moment right then and there. Yeah, that was hands down one of the best documentaries I've seen this year. So Questlove deserves all the accolades that he's receiving for Summer of Soul.
Hmm.
Um, Now the conversation we were having right before that about what shows or what concerts we would like to go to,
Hmm.
it it made me think of, now there is this new page that I'm following on Instagram. Gosh, and I have to find that for you guys because I want you to see this page. But literally, this is like a dance club centered Instagram account, and they have footage from old club days. Like they just posted a clip of, I think it was Larry Levin playing at the very last
Paradise
dance,
Garage.
the very last night at Paradise Garage, and they were playing like a Colonel Abrams song. And
Oh.
they do stuff like that. They interview people that were responsible for the Detroit techno,
Hmm.
the black people
The
that
black
were
people.
responsible for the Detroit techno phase and craze.
Techno is black music.
It is black music. Don't let them fool you. It is black music. But, you know, and of course, I cannot find the page right now.
Hmm.
But before the night is out, before the show is done, I will let you guys know what that page is. But yes, that, seeing those clips, oh, if I could go back, if I could just be there, if I could stand in that booth with Larry Levin or Frankie or what's the other guy? The
Oh,
gentleman I
Ron
thought
Hardy.
was Ron Hardy.
Yeah.
I was like, is that Ron Hardy? Yeah. But yeah, we if I could just sit in the booth and just stand there, I wouldn't even try to hover over them, but just want to stand there in the booth and see, how things hopped off in the club back then.
Well, so I'll see if I can post a link to one of the clips from Maestro, but there was a person who was part of that documentary, which was a Larry Levan centered, Paradise Garage centered documentary. And that person talked about the fact that Larry had groups, because when you're DJing in a club, right, you was up real high and so you could see everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So apparently Larry had like names for like the different people and the different
Okay.
collectives in the club, and knew what would happen when he played a particular record for particular sections of the club. So yeah, man, that would have been like magical, I'm sure, for you as a DJ to see like this person who's looking out on a couple hundred people, like, see them
Sea
back
of
there,
people.
watch
Yeah.
this.
Oh, and the name of the account is there underscore is underscore no underscore planet underscore Earth. There is
Oh.
no planet Earth, and it's a bunch of underscores in between it. But yeah, great pictures, great footage, club performances, videos, everything, you interviews, anything you can think of what club culture,
Yeah.
house music, techno, all of that is ours. It's black music. All of it is ours. And this documentation, because in that clip I was talking about documenting. This is documenting that this is ours.
Yes.
It belongs to us. We need to come and get our inheritance, folks. You younger cats that are watching, or your uncles that are watching and making you watch this.
Yes.
Y'all need to claim your inheritance.
Yes. Oh, so I know we're going to get to the next clip, but this is interesting. So this happened. So for Christmas this year, and I posted this, like baby boomers were like, I don't care what y'all say. We getting together and you going to eat. So
I saw you post that.
They were very clear about it. We're getting together. So anyway, I was sitting at my aunt's house, and my brother actually brought this up. And he was like, Uncle Doug, we didn't appreciate when we were kids and we was in the car and you dropped Trouble Funk. Like that. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Like that wasn't something that we got then. But then when we got older, I was like, Trouble Funk is it. You know what I'm saying? And you realize, and it was like, oh, and my uncle introduced that to me. So he put it on and we're sitting there grooving, and my aunt is over eating at the table and she's just a shimmying and is dropping the bomb. And we were just having such a good time. And I was saying to his daughters, who would have been our age when we got introduced to it, I was like, none of this makes sense now.
Yeah.
But in about 10 years, you're going to be like, so Dad, I was in DC and they dropped that Trouble Funk and I knew what it was giving. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we have to come and get it.
For their sake. Let's hope they are. Let's hope that whatever the new normal looks like in 10 years, that they are still able, that we are still able to commune in music.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
say that.
We are going to jump into our number 4 most watched show, and we'll be right back. 4. They're not making the same money on, because you don't have physical product and you're not making that crazy markup no more. So the money that was flowing, that was able to kind of fund all of these things, is just different now. So I'm sure that there are producers today that are afraid to sample because they're like, oh my God, that is really going to cut into my margin in a way that I'm really uncomfortable with. And I would, and I think I would add, but I think it's really important that we rebuild some of those connections, because I feel like there is the point you made earlier. We were able to relate to older music because it was it gave us a context to enter the conversation. So I was then able to go back to tracks from the 60s and the 70s and listen to them with fresh ears and be like, oh, this was dope then. So I love what this producer did with it. Or I would just prefer to listen to this old version of this. Like, I like the way this is. It gave you a different appreciation for music, in my opinion, as a person coming from the golden era of the hip hop generation.
And I would go further to say that the art of sampling allowed for a lot of the artists that were sampled, a lot of black musicians especially, that came up in the era that were robbed. They got robbed blind by these contracts.
They did.
They didn't make a lot of money during their heyday. But, here we come along with these kids and revitalize your work of art. And now these people have earned, can get the money that was due them.
Yes.
That maybe the record label never gave them in the past. It's a way for a lot of classic artists, a lot of our, our legends to be revered and given a second shot, in my opinion, through the art of sampling and reintroducing it to new generations. Because I really feel like black music, this thing we call hip hop, just black music in general, is something so unique to black people that I don't want to see it die. Right. And one of the ways in which we kept it alive was the art of sampling.
I agree.
But, you know, and that's not, we're not putting down anybody, because I get it. All those numbers, $5 million, I wouldn't want to come up off of $5 million because of a mistake that somebody didn't check and say, oh, this needs to go to this publishing house for clearance. But you know, the music itself is, you know, if I drop it, something that I drop on the turntables and it gets the floor packed, you know, you can't buy that feeling.
No.
From a DJ's perspective or the person on the dance floor. You can't buy that. You know what? We're prophetic. You know why? Because right after that episode on sampling and sample clearances, guess what happened? De La Soul got they got a hold of their
their masters, and their publishing.
Their masters, they were able to get ownership of all of that back again. And we mentioned it, and hey, I dare say we put that out into the universe.
We did. Listen, like, just the idea of having this conversation about sampling, and just to give some context to folks who were listening to that clip, we had just kind of come out of a video clip where Rock Marciano was talking about you know, samples and sample snitching. And but we jumped into a conversation about kind of the importance of sampling and why it mattered so much. And Sir Daniel, I think your point, and it's a point that you and I have talked about so many times.
Yeah.
The through line with hip hop, in particular in the early days, sampling allowed our parents to connect to the music because there probably was something that they related to in the sample that would then bring them to it. So the reason why It Takes Two is so popular, or the reason why Summertime is so popular, it's because it reminded or the generation before of their music, because their music was in it.
Absolutely. And yeah, it allowed us to bond over that. It allowed them to become fans of hip hop, which if you ask me, if we look in the grand scheme of things, it allowed some of those same rappers like a Will Smith, like an Ice Cube, like a Latifah to become Hollywood stars, because not only did our generation know who they were, our parents knew who they were. It was like, oh, I like that Latifah girl. She's nice. I'm going to watch her TV show. I'm going to go to her movie. And they said the same thing about Q, Will Smith, all of them. And so, yeah, it was very important. And it's so funny. Here we go again, being prophetic and being, you know, on top of things. Just recently, Tory Lanez, I guess, dropped some new song that sampled Madonna's, what was it, Holiday?
I don't remember what song, but sampled a Madonna tune,
Sampled the Madonna tune, and Madonna went right into his DMs and was like, you need to take that down, because you need to find out that if you didn't get clearance for that, you're about to get sued, buddy.
Right, because here's the deal, y'all. Like, as a person who has to look at sample clearances a lot due to the, you know, an artist that I manage, Madonna would know if if a song of hers was cleared for sampling, because she gets those requests. You get to hear the song. You get to make sure that you are approving the percentage that you would get from, you know, that sample being cleared, etc. So if she's on the thing like, yeah.
It was Get in the Groove.
Get in the groove,
Get in the Groove, yeah. But yeah, absolutely. And Madonna be in these streets. Like, Madonna stays on Instagram. And she's always checking up on, you know, Instagram, because like, she's got young kids and whatnot. So, yeah, you can't slip nothing past Madge, that's for sure.
No.
Nothing at all. I'm really enjoying this trip down memory lane.
Me too. Like, it's nice to see the work that we've done and kind of dip into some of the conversations that we've had. And so we're getting into our top three now. And this particular show, we did a show. This is our conscious music show. This particular clip is really interesting though, because it was we were picking up the conversation because we had talked about Crystal Waters and Gypsy Woman as one of the conscious songs. And we were kind of going deeper into that. But this conversation turns into like a whole other thing. So check this out and we'll be right back.
Surprise. Even the follow-up.
Oh, Make It Happy?
Make It Happy was about date rape.
Yeah.
And I had no idea at the time.
Wait, did I know that? I don't think I knew that.
Somebody schooled me to the point where the song is about date rape and how if you listen to the lyrics, she screams "Aua."
What? Yes! Wow! Oh my God! Mind blown.
So that's not the only conscious song or song, that topic driven song that she has on that album. Like I think her, Crystal Waters as a poet, and she did that in bringing that to us in the form of Gypsy Woman. But yes, we definitely did dance. Go ahead. I see your.
I need to mention one thing that's really fun about Crystal Waters. I think you know this, but Michael K. Williams, the actor,
yes,
choreographed 100% Pure Love.
Absolutely. He's in it. He's in it. He tells it. Michael K. Williams is a dancer. I think he dancing was first, and then the acting came after that. So yes, your favorite gangster on The Wire, what was his name? Omar.
Yep.
Oh, Omar can duck walk and can hit you with a shawam too. So don't get it twisted. Yes, but no, Michael K. Williams he toured with her on that first album, that first project. He went everywhere with her, and he credits that moment to where he is now. So definitely,
wow. Baltimore, man.
I'm telling you, Crystal Waters, Gypsy Woman. We had a lot to think about during that time, and that was not the last conscious record, but those are just some of the records that we thought of because we just figured it's not, people don't give them enough credit for making you think.
Agreed.
And Vax Nathaniel just brought up all these memories, and that's why we had to bring them to you to talk about it. So I hope you enjoyed that segment.
Yes.
Mr. J. Ray, you are speaking of being conscious, and you are coming off of, like we said, we mentioned earlier, a great moment to discuss a historical song.
Yes.
Dealing with identity, sexuality, things that weren't talked about in that era, in the 70s.
Yep.
And so you had an opportunity to speak with the first vocalist, Mr. Charles Valentino, regarding that moment. So what do you know this week that we don't know, Ray? Because I'm sure there's something that came up that you were just like, I'm going to bring this to the people because I bet they don't know and I know.
So there are two things that I want to talk about this week. So the first thing is about I Was Born This Way. So the interesting thing about I Was Born This Way, it was released as the first version. The second version was a Motown release, and it was Carl Bean, and it was a bigger production. The first version was a 45. You ain't had no liner notes. Here's the magic. So I asked Charles, so tell me about who played on the record. Here's the thing, y'all. Stevie Wonder played drums on the song that is the first song to contain lyrics about being an out and proud gay man. The drums are played by Stevie effing Wonder. Sit with that. And I'm gonna go deeper. Deeper.
What else you got?
This song was written by a black woman, and the first place it was played was on WBLS in New York City. Frankie Crocker dropped it on his show. So this gay song with Stevie Wonder playing drums on it, written by a black woman, was played on a black radio station by a black DJ. Do not tell me that black folks haven't been allies to the LGBTQ community. You cannot tell me that. Okay, because
Frankie Crocker was a big deal.
Frankie Crocker was a big deal. Frankie, as the story goes, literally Bunny took the song into Frankie, and Frankie said, "Give me the song." Dropped it. Wow. In rotation at that moment. So listen, our community, I just love black folks and black music history. I do.
Ooh, let me tell you something. J. Ray was excited in that last clip. It was like when somebody's playing Uno and they have a bunch of draw fours and they just hitting you with them like bam, bam, bam. J. Ray's just going hitting us with facts about, and that was a really great interview with you and Mr. Valentino.
Yeah, man. So there's several things that I want to point out in that last clip, Sir Daniel, that were magical. The first is we talked about I was happy to talk to Val because a lot of people hadn't talked to Val about the significance of that song as the first song to have lyrics about being an out and proud gay man. And, you know, it was sung by a black man. And a lot of people hadn't talked to him. What I also loved about that clip, I was weird. I texted this to you. So when I first pulled the clip, I was like, maybe the labeling on this show is wrong because we're talking about Michael K. Williams and Carl Bean in this clip. And then I went back and I looked and I was like, no. In July, in that clip, we talked about Michael K. Williams and Archbishop Carl Bean. Here's the thing, y'all. Michael K. Williams and Archbishop Carl Bean died one day apart in September. We had a we brought them up in July. And I was just like, that is the power of the work that we're doing, Sir Daniel. And that literally floored me.
Yeah. Just got to sit with that for a second. Yeah. And we almost got a track record with that. Because we've mentioned people and then they transition shortly after that. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a curse or anything like that.
No.
We set out to give people their flowers. That's one of the main goals of this particular show, this broadcast, this podcast, this video. We set out to give people their flowers while they're still here. And so I think it's a testament to all of us collectively that we must cherish these people that have been given these gifts to walk amongst us and that have shared their gifts. And so, yeah, I'm glad we're here to share the gratitude with you guys because we definitely need it. And wow, a day apart. Yeah.
A day apart. As we get into these last two clips, I'm super excited because our number 2, this was our first guest. This is our first guest ever. And just dropped so many gems on us from a music perspective or from a business perspective. And so we're going to get into this clip and there's some special stuff in here. So this is our number 2 clip. And this was our Record Store Day show because we love Record Store Day around here. And
clearly.
Exactly. So this is our brother, Jonathan Blanchard.
And you mentioned, the Chitlin circuit. And I want the viewers and the listeners to understand the cultural significance of record stores themselves. Like I always say, albums, vinyl, to me, that is art. It's art. Not only does it encapsulate music and ideas of a time, but also the pictures, the cover art. What does vinyl especially vinyl, because it's made such a resurgence? What kind of significance does that hold for you and JB's Record Lounge?
And vinyl lives. Um, our ears are analog. So then when you hear music played from vinyl, it's about as close as you're going to get to what it sounded like as the artist was recording it or expressing it. It begins to pick up the spirit of the room. It lives, it breathes, it can affect emotion. It can change thought patterns, its frequency. So to be a curator of that is humbling, and it is a honor. It's something that I take great care in doing, and I don't know if it stems from the respect that I have for the music or the respect that I have for um, the technical side of it and what it took to create a piece of vinyl to be put in the store. What it, how many people had to have their hands on it, from the person that created the art on the cover to the person that printed the art on the cover to the person that shrink wrapped it and shipped it off. It's a
Yeah.
lot of it's a lot of it's a lot of spirits that touch that piece of vinyl by the time you buy it off the shelf.
My brother, you
So,
have been killing the pop-up shop game here in Atlanta and beyond, because you travel also. So,
mhm,
and I'm, whether it's the Atlanta indie market or thank God it's vinyl. Shout out to
vinyl.
Johnny
Hmm.
Normal.
Hmm.
Are you in a hurry to go back to a brick and mortar?
You know what? When it initially hit the fan, I had about a 2 day panic. I panicked for
Okay.
about 48 hours and was disappointed and a little depressed and concerned about it because, you know, it happened after our first 2 years. So it was already kind of a struggle, because any business struggles the first 2 years. But
Yeah.
I kept my head and kept my cool, and I continued to do what I do, and that is we continue to put records on our website and upload records, and the pop-ups the pop-ups have just been a blessing, man. Um, we hadn't missed a beat. Man, as a matter of fact, business is better now, and part of it has to do with this being our third year and name recognition, and just you guys and what I mean, Wax Fundamentals, just getting the word out, as well as some other indie DJs, just getting the word out and really taking care of us in the sense of social media has been a big part of our success and our ability to maintain through this time period. As far as being in a rush, um, no, I'm not. I'm not in a rush because there's no desperation. But what I am in a state of diligence and focus on trying to get a to acquire a building because because one of the primary focus of JB's is not just selling records. It's meant to be a place for the community to come. It's meant to be a library of sorts. I come from two generations of librarians. My
Wow.
mother was a
Okay.
librarian. My grandmother was a librarian. Um, so a lot of that is in me. And in order to do that, I have to have a brick and mortar. In order to provide a space for artists, I had to have a brick and mortar. In order to provide a space for spontaneous conversation, I had to have a brick and mortar. But I'm looking to buy now.
Okay.
I'm no longer interested in renting. We are established, and despite not having a business at hand, we are functioning on all cylinders right now. With the pop ups, we stay uh, quite quite busy. So we
You have
we
not
are
missed a beat.
nah, we have
You have
not.
not missed a
The
beat.
only
As a
thing
matter of fact,
on,
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
the only thing we hadn't done is have events, and that's the only thing that I miss. But we try to be a part of other events, and we try to support other people's events as well.
I love that. That was JB, aka JB's Record Lounge. aka Jonathan Blanchard. And what you didn't see was his son, his
Yes.
newborn, was there in his arms, but you heard him.
Yes.
And I thought that brought an excellent element to the show. I loved
Mhm.
it. I love me some JB because that I put this on Twitter. I mean on Instagram. But a couple months ago at Thank God It's Vinyl, I walked in, said what's up to Johnny Normal. He was on the mic, and then what I always do, I immediately go to JB's record area where he's selling records, and I immediately go and start, flipping through records and seeing what he has. Before I could even do that, he was like, "Sir Daniel, I got something for you." And he immediately reached, he knew where it was, and he pulled it out and he presented me with a very crisp, beautifully maintained, wonderful cover, full length vinyl of Nikki D's Daddy's Little Girl, the full album. And you all know that I collect, and I collect and I revere my women MCs, my female rappers. I love that. So and Daddy's Little Girl, the full album, is something that I had been looking for on vinyl for a minute.
Mhm.
And he said, "I saw this and I had to have it because I knew you would want it." I was like, "Sir, thank you very much. Take my money now.
Take my money, please."
Take my money, please." But I say that to say that that's a mark of a really great business person, of really great business, is that he knows his customers. He knew exactly what I like. He and I have had conversations about it. He knows me. And he was able to pull that for me. And those are kinds of things that just stick with me. And when people, take interest in what you like and what they know you want and what they need, they know how to give it to you. And so I really appreciate that about JB. I cannot wait for. I don't know. We were talking about what normal is going to look like on the other side, but it's going to be something different. Mm-hmm. But I do look forward to him having a brick and mortar store so that he can. All those gems he was dropping about having a brick and mortar where it's a living library.
Yes.
He comes from a line of librarians. All that stuff. I had chills watching that whole segment over again.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Such important information and even the picture. So the picture behind Sir Daniel and I right now was from inside the old JB's Record Lounge. That's Peppermint Gaddy on the ones and twos. Of course, 5 Star is somewhere. It might be on the turntable, so it's probably in waiting. But being able to have space and that idea of thinking of a record store like a library, because libraries are so important. And in 2022, I haven't said this on this show before, but I've said it to other people. It's really important to me. I'm going to be real analog in 2022. I want things that people can hold in their hands so that 30 years from now, when little Johnny Cornegay that's living in New York City and is 15 and trying to find themselves, if it's in a place where they can go and discover something that inspires them. So thinking about music that way is the same thing. And the work that we're doing here at Q Points speaks to that as well. So that's a magical clip and good interview, Sir Daniel.
I had a great time. Yes, we don't deal with any NFTs over here. We want tangible stuff that we could pick up and and say this is what we use to listen to music on.
Yes,
absolutely. But yes, dope clip.
Yeah.
So what we got? We're on number 2 now, right?
No, we're on number 1. We are at number 1. We've made it to number 1. We did. So Summer of Soul, we did sampling, we did conscious music, we did record store day, and your number 1 show, y'all. So we did y'all picked it. And this is really interesting. So this show was actually a show that encompassed a lot of different topics. So one of the things that we do often on Q Points is, of course, honor musicians who have passed, and so we decided to do a show that remembered Chucky Thompson. At the same time, it was hip hop's birthday, so we talked about hip hop and hip hop's birthday. And Beyonce had just done an article or something, so we talked about Beyonce. This so this particular clip is a hip hop clip, and we're gonna play this, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna wrap it up. This is dope.
Does hip hop need more gatekeeping? And while you think about that, I'll say why I asked this question.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tyler the Creator, he's been in, he did an interview with Ebro and their team at Hot 97.
Yeah, Hot 97. Yep.
Like a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And Tyler is always going to give you a good interview. He's going to give you chunks and chunks of sound bites.
Yes.
And one of the things that stood out to me the most was he was stepping into his grown man, and he was really feeling himself and stating how proud he was of his accomplishments.
Yes.
And however, when the last project, I believe was that Igor, Igor?
Yeah, the Igor project.
Out, yep. And he pretty much washed DJ Khaled.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically asked him to address the whole DJ Khaled comments.
Yeah.
And basically Khaled just couldn't understand how Tyler the Creator could topple his album. And so, and really
so weird.
which is very weird. But I love Tyler's response. Tyler was just like, it's almost as if he couldn't understand. He couldn't understand why I'm so successful.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got me to thinking, why do we have, I'm just going to say it, why do we have so many non-Black people
mm-hmm.
that are calling a lot of shots, that are, supposedly the tastemakers, the movers and the shakers of the culture,
mm-hmm.
and who decide what's hot and what's not?
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen?
How
did that happen? Does there need to be more gatekeeping? Do we need to have more people who look like us? Because unless hip hop, Black and Puerto Rican, if you're talking about 1520 Sedgwick in the Bronx,
yeah.
Do we need to have more gatekeeping in the culture?
So I'm going to answer this question in two ways. The first way is, the reality is that even though Black and Puerto Rican folks are the foundation of hip hop, the business of hip hop always included people that were not us. So that's the thing. So if we take a look at how hip hop was able to emerge when it did, it was being able to go downtown into Manhattan
mm-hmm.
and schmooze with the rich white folks. You know what I'm saying? So these folks, Def Jam, this didn't happen.
Yeah.
Rick Rubin needed to be part of Def Jam. Def Jam became a thing because Rick Rubin was part of it too. Like Def Jam became what it became because Rick Rubin was doing what he was doing in that dorm room as well. Right. So, and he white, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that the reality of hip hop's massive success is it always included, at that level, it always included the, white folks. So, that's why people feel like they can call the shots. You know what I'm saying? Because there's always been executives that have been calling the shots, like literally people sitting in those seats, making the decision about how stuff moves for better or for worse. That's a whole other show that we can get into.
Yeah.
So I think my second part to that question is, I don't know if gatekeeping is the right word. What I actually think we need more of is freedom. I think we need more freedom to create. Like the beautiful thing about when you and I were growing up with hip hop, there was a diversity in just the amount of people that were doing things. And it was different and it was interesting. And it was like, sure, that's hip hop too. So it's funny when I think of even just DJ Khaled saying, how is this possible? How could this happen? Because Khaled, because there's a you, there has to be a Tyler. Because there's a Tyler, there has to be an Earl Sweatshirt. Because there's an Earl Sweatshirt, there has to be a Freddie Gibbs. Because there's a Freddie Gibbs, and I could go on and on and on. Like, that's what hip hop has always been about.
I get what you're saying. I guess it's and Tyler didn't say this, but I think his comments kind of alluded to the fact that, who is this guy to question the limits that hip hop, or put a limit on hip hop and the creativity of hip hop? Who is he?
Who are any of us to say, here is what hip hop is? And I think there's always been, we could have kept going in that. We was going in that. Okay. That's what we do at Q Points.
You would have thought we were those old men that sit in the park and have those deep philosophical conversations over the chessboard. I mean, we were going ham on that one. And rightly so. That was a great, and you were dropping, you had the clips loaded. You were just bomb.
You set that up though, because I did not. Okay, y'all. So here's a thing that happens sometimes. I did not know Sir Daniel was going to ask me that question.
Yeah. That was off the top.
And that, I love that part about what we've been able to do this year. You know what I'm saying? Of one, just kind of sitting in our love for the music. And really just trying to think about it and give people another way to think about this stuff. And I felt like that clip. I was like, when thinking about the number of shows that we did, when I looked at the numbers, this was like hardcore numbers, y'all. I was like pulling them and I'm like, no, that show is the number one show. Who knew?
Who knew? But that's what we do. Those are conversations that I don't think a lot of people are having. I think those are the conversations we have to have when we're talking about this culture that's been generating billions and billions of dollars over the past, 30
almost
years.
50 years.
Almost 50 years, yeah. And to see that only just now certain people are starting to really reap the benefits of all that foundation that was created back there.
Yep.
And and a lot of people that don't look like us are reaping the benefits and we don't. Just today, what's his name? Bad Bunny, a reggaeton artist, was recognized as the Afro-Latino artist of 2021. And he is nowhere near any of the Afro in that Afro-Latino.
He doesn't identify in that way.
And it's like, it's still happening. That's a whole different kind of genre of music, different language, but Black people are still trying to be left out of what we created. Reggaeton, that's Black.
It is.
That's
for
African.
real.
That's bliggity Black. Come on, and then you're trying to, it's weird. It's still weird. Look at us.
Look at us. Look at y'all. Like, y'all
on
who are watching. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have really. This has been a labor of love. Because, first of all, Sir Daniel, you and I get to wax poetic about like Black music stuff on a weekly basis, and that's cool. And then y'all have come along with us throughout this wild experiment and have leaned into it too. And I definitely will say that from my perspective, it's my hope that, this is not just inspirational. I do hope it's also educational and, gives you the like, oh, I want to try something. You know what I'm saying? Or I want to go and hear that new Tyler record. You know what I'm saying? because that matters. I need to find out where JB's record lounge is online. You know, that's so important. And I'm happy that we get a chance to do this.
Listen, 2022, y'all ain't ready. We already have topics posted of what's coming up. And you're going to enjoy those topics. We're talking about Azealia Banks. Mm-hmm. And it's not a derogatory conversation either. Nope. We are giving her props and her flowers. And we're also talking about the Fat Boys and Houdini.
Yep.
And we got to talk about UTFO as well.
Yep. We're talking about all three of these foundational groups that get overlooked. You know what I'm saying? And truly, and so one of the things I will be doing over the next couple of weeks in prep for the shows is listening to a lot of Azealia Banks and listening to a lot of the Fat Boys and Houdini and UTFO. And let me tell you something, them later Fat Boys records get real, not great. So it's going to be an interesting listening experience, but I am excited but I am excited to kind of revisit these groups and revisit Azalea's back catalog and just have these conversations for 2022. We got a lot of stuff coming up in 2022. I wish I could talk about one thing now and I still can't talk about it. It's coming. Soon as we can talk about it, we will talk about it. But we got something really dope coming. We're going to be live somewhere. I can't tell you where. But we gotta wait.
I can't say anything. I'm trying to keep it under. I can't.
But it's coming. Oh, Sir Daniel. So, how you feeling?
I'm feeling optimistic. I'm feeling proud of what we've done and what we've created here. And yeah, this is the beginning for y'all. All of those that are going to be catching up. Mm-hmm. Welcome. For all of you that have been there from the beginning, we thank you. Hold on, more stuff is coming. J Ray, let's talk about how they can become a Q Points Insider. Mm-hmm. We've got all the socials, everything you need. We got them right there. Just a click of the link. Yep. And you can catch us anywhere you please. You can watch us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere.
We are literally everywhere. So please make sure that you hop on over to our website. We'll put the link in the description and in the chat. But you can hop on over to our website and become a Q Points Insider. And we do have exclusive content posted. We have a video with Keith Turner talking about her top 10 women MCs, which is super dope. We have Adrienne Austin, who has a podcast coming in 2022. It's going to be super dope. I'm actually producing that show. So look out for that. But Adrienne is talking about his experience writing I Wasn't Kidding with Andrea Martin, who transitioned the late Andrea Martin. And so you can become an insider. You can watch that content and you can also get in the know because, I mean, right now is free. We've been saying this a lot. Right now, it's free.
Make your next move the best move.
Make your next move the best move. And so, yes, follow us on our socials everywhere. Those links are in the description and in the chat too. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, listen, we're not going to belabor the point. We're awesome, and so are you. Happy New Year to you out there watching right now. May everything that you put down on paper and even speak into existence be everything that you want it to be. I'm happy for you. Whatever it is that's coming, we're happy for you, and we're happy that you're joining us for Q Points. And J Ray, for the last time of 2021, what do we always say? In this life, you can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. The choice is yours. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And I am J Ray. Peace.